The book I am talking about is entitled Nigeria on Gunpowder, the Climax of Misrule. Look at it. You see the book? It's a big book. We are talking about 531 pages. A book of history on Nigeria. And the author of the book, Olu Taiwo, is in State Affairs Studio. We are going to review a chapter of the book. Chapter 8 is entitled The Revolution and the Aftermath. The revolution you talk about here is the 15th of January 1966 coup. Why did you target a revolution?
Yes, thank you. Before I answer that question, I think I should have to say this. I have to thank you, Edmund, for opening this studio and this program for history exposition, because it is a shame that our educational system has so much collapsed that our university students don't know anything about the past of this country. They don't know anything. Ask them, mention any name to them, any name that that existed in the last 30 years. They don't know, because they don't have any history or any book of history to read. They don't know anything about their past. So there's no way they can determine how to move ahead. This book, without being immodest, it is a compendium of Nigeria's history from the time immemorial, through the colonial period, through the political period, agitation for independence, military, and all the rest. So I want to appreciate you for opening the minds of the youth into knowing the history of their country. So I want to eulogize you for this great feat.
Thank you.
Now, answer your question. When they say revolution, revolution is the simple definition I will give it is bringing into happening something that is so sudden, so that happens so quickly, unexpectedly, that things that people don't expect that will happen.
Like a soul.
Like, yes, you are me. Thank you very much. So that was exactly what happened at that time. The country had been in a kind of crisis, political crisis, and emanating from this foundation problem. Everything goes back to the foundation. Were we really one? Before we became Nigerians, were we once? Were we one entity? We were not. We were strange bedfellows. The Northerners, the Fulanis, the Hausas were not related to the Yorubas. The Yorubas were not related to the Igbos. The Jaws were not related to the Kanuris. You know, the British just came to lump everybody together. So the effect is that, okay, who is ruling? The Northerners are ruling. Are they ruling well? Who is ruling? The Southerners are ruling. Are they ruling well? Who is ruling? The Easterners are ruling. Are they ruling well? If somebody doesn't do anything that you like, then the other person might snap. So this is exactly what happened. The country was in a political crisis. And so people felt that the Northerners were in charge. Even though people say it was not a tribal crisis. Tribal issue. But we know that the Northerners were in charge then, but everything was topsy-turvy.
When you say the Northerners were in charge, can you break that down?
Yeah. Who was the Prime Minister? Tafawa Balewa. He was the man holding power, the mantle of power, the practical power, the executive power. So he was in charge of the country. And things were not going on well. And some young men in the military felt that there must be a change in the system. Though it was not only the Igbos that carried out the coup. I know that one of my kinsmen, Adewale Ademoyega, is a Yoruba person. Was a Yoruba, is late now. He was involved in it. Okay, just let me say, young military men felt that they should effect a change, and they planned a coup. Unfortunately, it did not succeed.
Before we go further,
Yeah.
as a historian, was it an Igbo coup?
It might not be, it might be, but the results show that it was an Igbo coup. Because if you see the list of people that died, that were killed, how many Igbo was there? How many Igbo people were there? Let us ask ourselves. The predominant people that were killed were Northerners and the Westerners. No Igbo man lost his life in the coup. Why? Was it an accident? Was it an accident? Was it a coincidence that no Igbo person went along with the coup? So it could be concluded that it was an Igbo coup, because that was the result.
And if you look at the intentions of the coup,
Yes.
would you still call it an Igbo coup?
The intention was very good as far as I'm concerned. But there were some elements who spilled the beans, who really wrecked the ambition of the masterminds. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
So, for some people to have spared certain part of the country, people from certain part of the country, and allow other people to die, then it will be given a meaning.
From the analysis of this chapter,
Yes.
the North was in charge.
Yes.
The North instigated the political crisis.
Yes.
And the coupists wanted to deal with that crisis.
Yes.
And who do you think the coupists would go after? Is it not those who instigated it?
Oh, yes.
And some of the instigators were in the western region.
Oh, yes.
They were not in the eastern region.
Were they not in the eastern region?
Tell me more.
We might say the leader was a northerner, but were we not having other political office holders in the east?
But again, remember, the crisis
Yes.
was centered
Yes.
in the western region.
Yes.
And the crisis was directed from the northern region.
Yes.
It was the northern region and the western region
Yes.
that were really in crisis.
Yes.
But the epicenter of the crisis was the western region.
Okay.
So when the coupists struck,
Yes.
they took out the instigators of the crisis.
Yes.
And they were within the northern and the western regions.
If they did not want to create problem for themselves, they would have made it an all-round operation.
Would you take out those who were not the instigators?
Are you telling me that I will not mention him anyway? Are you telling me the premier of Eastern region was not part of the system?
Okay, in this chapter, should I say you didn't have kind words for Nnamdi Azikiwe?
Yeah.
He was not in the country when the coup struck.
Yes.
You think he got wind of information?
Of course, it has been established.
But he left in October.
Yes.
About three months before the coup.
Uh-huh.
So when you say he has been established, what do you know?
Oh. The point is that events that happened later show that Azikiwe was in the knowledge. Was in the know of the crisis before he fled. So he was, the relationship between him and Ojukwu Senior. They were very good friends.
Okay.
And he couldn't have pretended not to have known what was going to happen before he fled. So, Azikiwe knew about the coup before he fled.
Akintola knew about the coup from my research.
Okay.
Ahmadu Bello knew there was going to be a coup.
Okay.
But they took it for granted.
Okay.
Should you still blame Azikiwe?
Well, as the governor general, he had a lot of things to do.
Okay.
At least for having the knowledge of the coup, as the governor general, was he supposed to feel unconcerned?
But you said governor general that really had no power.
It doesn't matter. At least he was still the governor general, whether he had power or not. He was governor general, whether ceremonial or executive or whatever. He was still the governor general. He would have done everything possible to make sure that there was sanity. But he pretended that nothing was going to happen.